Chapter 7. On Beneath the Billionaire's Mask. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications on this channel. The day began like any other. New York simmered under a rising summer heat, and the city moved in rhythm. Horns, footsteps, conversations layered over the growl of subway lines. But for Elena Moore, nothing about the day felt normal. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, not in the obvious way. No men in trench coats or black SUVs, just the hum of eyes she couldn't see, the kind that waited, calculated, judged. She adjusted her scarf and kept walking. Lower East Side, art supply shop. I just need ultramarine blue and a size 4 sable brush, she told the clerk behind the counter. He looked half asleep, barely nodding before disappearing down the aisle. Her phone buzzed. Block number. She hesitated, then answered. Elena Moore, said a clipped voice, British, precise. You don't know me, but I work with someone you've recently come to know. I need 10 minutes of your time. Who is this? Someone who believes you may be in danger. She stiffened. Is this about Damian Wolf? A pause. Yes, but not in the way you think. Then say what you called to say. I can't. Not over this line. Meet me at the Public Archives building, West 43rd Street, sub-level 2 in 1 hour. The line went dead. Wolf Tower, Damian's office. Damian stared at the redacted report Hart had just sent him. It wasn't a grant. The Meridian Arts Fund had originally been a shell company created by one of Wolf Systems' former directors, a man named Julian Vex. Vex had gone off the grid 6 years ago, following an insider trading scandal that never made it to the press. Before disappearing, he rerouted funds through multiple channels, including false charitable fronts, into accounts tied to young creatives, artists, writers, musicians, all carefully selected. And now Elena's name had appeared in the latest transaction, along with another, Nico Vale. You son of a bitch, Damian muttered. It wasn't just chance. Nico had placed her, groomed her for this, but for what? Damian didn't believe in coincidence, and he didn't believe in innocence without motive. Public Archives building, sub-level 2. Elena pushed open the heavy fire door and descended the concrete steps. This part of the archives was rarely used. Rows of forgotten records and abandoned city plans. The air smelled like mold and old ink. Ms. Moore, the man who greeted her, was in his 40s, clean-cut, suit slightly rumpled. His badge read Hart, but his eyes said nothing. You're Damian's fixer, she said flatly. I prefer Director of Internal Operations, but fixer's not inaccurate. She folded her arms. Why am I here? Hart handed her a sealed envelope. That came through a secure channel this morning. We traced its metadata. It originated 2 blocks from your apartment. The sender used an anonymous relay, but the signature matched someone else in our system. Someone who once leaked documents from Wolf Systems' lab division. Elena opened the envelope. Inside was a single photograph. Her mother standing outside their apartment with a man in the background watching, face obscured. She went cold. Hart continued. Your work with Mr. Wolf has put you in proximity to systems under scrutiny. We believe someone wants you removed or used. Either way, they've involved your family now. Her voice was barely above a whisper. What do you want from me? To stay alive, Hart said, and to help us find who's really pulling strings. Wolf is not your enemy, but the people around him, that's another story. Wolf Tower, private studio, later. That evening, Elena arrived late. Damian was already in the room, standing before a blank canvas. She said nothing at first, neither did he. But when she finally stepped closer, she noticed something new in his posture. Tension, yes, but also worry. Not for himself, for her. I met your shadow today, she said softly. Damian didn't turn. Which one? Elitist British accent, face like a spreadsheet. Hart? Now he looked at her. You should have told me someone was watching my mother. I didn't know until this morning. Her jaw tightened. Then who does know? For once, Damian didn't have an answer. Let me help, she said. You think I'm bait? Fine, then use me, but if someone's hurting people around me, I'm not going to be a bystander, not again. Damian stepped closer. You have no idea what you're offering. I'm not offering, she said. I'm demanding a place at the table. Their eyes met, and for the first time since they'd met, there was no flirtation between them. Only fire. 2 days earlier, unknown location. The basement was quiet except for the soft hum of servers and the occasional click of a hard drive spinning to life. Nico Vale stood in the glow of multiple monitors, jaw tight as he clicked through a string of encrypted folders. He hadn't opened this archive in years. Project, Lucent, Wolf Systems, classified internal research subjects. One folder bore the code name AURELIA. He clicked it. The screen populated with lab reports, biometric scans, medical assessments, and a photograph. A woman, late 30s, exhausted, hooked up to IVs. The timestamp in the corner read, January 14, 2019. Subject, Ava Moore. Nico's stomach sank. He'd suspected it, hoped he was wrong. But here it was, proof that Elena's mother had once been part of Wolf Systems' experimental treatment program, under Julian Vex's directive, and worse, that the treatment had stopped, suddenly, without follow-up, without consent. He closed the window, shut down the system, burned the flash drive, and packed a bag, because now it was only a matter of time before Elena found out the truth. And when she did, she'd come for him. Elena's apartment, early morning. Elena poured her mother's pills into a small plastic cup, adding a drop of honey to the water, like she always did. Eva Moore had always been strong, resilient, a soft laugh even in hard times, but now she barely had the strength to lift her arm. Don't worry about me, baby, her mother rasped, blinking slowly. This is just one of those waves. It's not just a wave, Elena said. It's getting worse. She hesitated, then pulled up a chair beside the bed. I met someone today who said you were part of something. A trial, years ago. Her mother's eyes fluttered open, then darted away. I don't remember much, she whispered. Just white rooms, a voice I didn't trust. They said they could help me walk again. Then I got sicker. Elena took her hand. Why didn't you tell me? Because you already had too many broken things to carry. You were only 20. You're not broken, Elena said fiercely. But her mother's silence told her otherwise. Damian's penthouse, 9th floor gallery room. Damian stared at the footage on screen, a looping security clip. Elena, on the subway platform, looking over her shoulder. She doesn't notice the figure 3 steps behind her, hooded, tall, gloved. Following, he enlarged the timestamp, 5:36 p.m., the day before she received the anonymous threat. He pinged Hart on a secure line. Run facial recognition on the tail from Elena's subway footage. Cross-check with anyone who worked under Julian Vex. Hart responded quickly. Already one step ahead, the man's name is Lance Callan, former lab assistant, Vex's errand boy, went dark 5 years ago. Bring him in. Already tried, he's gone, but he surfaced recently in Queens. Guess who he's renting from? Let me guess, Nico. Correct. Damian's hand closed into a fist. It was all connected. Vex, Nico, the Grant, Elena's mother. The whole thing wasn't just about corporate secrets, it was personal. Someone had embedded Elena into his life for a reason, and Damian Wolf didn't believe in pawns, only players. Later that night, abandoned train car, Queens. Nico waited on the old tracks, eyes scanning the shadows. He'd chosen the place because it was forgotten, rusted, silent, long since cut off from the city grid. Elena appeared 10 minutes later. She wore a gray coat, her sketch pad clutched to her chest like armor. Why here, she asked. Because I don't know who's listening anymore. He motioned for her to sit on the cold steel bench. You were right, he began. About the Grant, about Vex, about me. She stayed silent, lips pressed tight. Nico pulled out a torn file, dropped it in her lap. That's your mother's name on those records. She was used in an unregulated study, a trial they buried under Wolf Systems archives. Vex oversaw it. Damian may not have known the full extent, But he funded the program. Eliana's hands trembled. "You knew," she said, barely audible. "I found out after I left the company," he said. "I tried to leak the data. They hunted me down. I went underground, but by then it was too late. Most of the subjects had already been discarded." Her face broke, but she didn't cry. She stood. "I trusted you," she said. "Before him. Before any of this. And you let them use my mother like a science project. Ellie, don't." She walked away before he could finish, and Nico didn't follow. Damian's apartment, midnight. Damian waited by the windows, skyline burning behind him, when Hart's voice came through the intercom. "We have a problem." "Define problem." "Eliana's gone." Damian turned, body rigid. Last confirmed location was her apartment. Then a burner phone signal pinged on the Williamsburg Bridge. Signal cut off 5 minutes later. No sign of her since. Damian's jaw clenched. This wasn't just an art project anymore. This was war. Eliana's apartment, 2:04 a.m. The sketch pad was the only thing left behind. No phone, no wallet, no note. Just her bag on the floor and the sketch pad open on her studio table. The last page was filled with a strange pattern of angular lines and symbols, something Damian couldn't decipher at first glance. But it wasn't a drawing. It was code, a cipher. Hart confirmed it 5 minutes later. Substitution pattern, classic artist's cryptograph. She learned it at Parsons back when she was interning with that urban graffiti historian. Damian ran his fingers over the graphite. The strokes were sharp, frantic. Not art, a warning. "Can you decode it?" Hart's voice crackled in his earpiece. "Already working on it." "But Damian, this wasn't a kidnapping." "What do you mean?" "There was no sign of a struggle. The sketch pad was left for you. Whoever took her, or whoever she went with, wants you to follow. Wolf Systems, Restricted Subnetwork Lab." The cipher decoded into coordinates, not GPS, but internal ones. Floor B9, Section Theta. A forgotten sublevel of Wolf Tower's earliest tech prototype divisions, closed off after the AI ethics scandal 5 years ago, buried under concrete and red tape. Damian keyed in his biometric ID, then took the service elevator alone. The doors creaked open to a dust-choked corridor of darkness and rust. He walked carefully. Every step echoed like a memory. When he reached the coordinates, he stopped. There, on the floor beneath a broken server node, was a phone. Heron. It vibrated once. A message appeared on the screen. "What do you know about Project AURELIA?" His blood turned cold, not because he didn't recognize the name, but because it was classified to his father's level of access. Damian hadn't heard Project AURELIA spoken aloud in over a decade, and the only reason he knew it existed at all was because he'd once found his mother crying in a locked room after reading a file by that name. Nico's loft, that same hour. Nico sat in the dark, turning a flash drive over in his palm. He hadn't given Eliana everything. He couldn't. But the truth had teeth now, and it was about to rip through every lie he'd ever built around her. He opened his laptop and uploaded the data to a secure channel, an encrypted Dropbox tied to a reporter he once trusted. As he hit send, a shadow moved across the rooftop outside his window. He froze. A silhouette stood there, watching. And then, it vanished, somewhere unknown. Eliana's eyes fluttered open. Fluorescent light, cold air, metal walls, a room she didn't recognize. Her wrists weren't tied. Her legs could move. But the room was sealed. She stood slowly, pain flaring in her side, and noticed a camera in the top corner. She stared directly into it and said one word, "Damian." Stay tuned for more chapters on this story. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.